Let's move on to London, inventing the female toilet. They've done it, boys.
How forward-thinking.
They figured it out that maybe if we have a toilet for females, then, problems go down in the regards of females being abused in toilets.
Okay.
I know, big thinks. And I'll start this off with a shill here, being Abigail Shrier's irreversible damage that Harry did, and him going through that she documents the social contagion and the cult-like nature of the modern, let's say, trans movement.
Yeah, I did this with him. It's actually, honestly, it's a fascinating book. And if you want to hear the unvarnished medical truth about what it is to physically transition, definitely go watch our book club, because it's awful. Yeah. It is genuinely harrowing.
But go and check that out, because, of course, we'll be getting back to transgenderism in a minute. Because, of course, we will. We'll go to the next one. We have George Bernard Shaw here, who is talked about in this Islington Tribute, local paper in London Borough, of course. Just talking about the fact that he was a pioneer of his day in the 1800s, arguing for women's water closets. So we had gender-neutral bathrooms back in the 1800s. Yep. And didn't go well. So then people were like, well, maybe the women should have their own area. Where they
progressives were like, we need to segregate men and women.
Yeah.
How things have changed.
And, they thought of that. And as you can see, this image here being apparently the first ever female, the ladies' first ever public female toilet where ladies could go and be on their own and not abused. And that's a bad idea. Let's turn back the clock. So if we go to the next one, we have the Camden New Journal reporting here that the local council have decided, we're giving up on that. Women told to share Camden public loos with the gents. I just found this amazing because you can already tell what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's the easiest predictable thing. And they even list it in here as well. Women who want to use the public toilet in Camden Town, again, the first toilet ever to be separate for women's because of the obvious problems. They've gone back on that. Has been asked to share the underground conveniences with men, leading to protests that they might feel unsafe. A campaign has now been launched to try and persuade the town hall to provide women with their own set of toilets. A modern idea, a new forward-thinking idea that maybe women should have their own place they could go. But the council says it needs to fund repairs and repair the broken men's facilities and close the tube station, meaning the ladies is now a gender-neutral space.
Well, at least they didn't just say, well, listen, that's transphobic.
But they will all go on to.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Of course they will.
They say, of course, ironically, this were the very first female toilets set up for this historic reason. Susan Williams, who lives in Hampstead, first noticed the women's toilets were now gender neutral a few weeks ago. She said, I was trying to go to work and I was busting for a wee. Realised the loos were gender neutral. And I went in anyway because it was there on the curb. They were smelly, horrible, and intimidating because the men were there as well. Don't know if she's talking about the men or the loos themselves. Miss Williams said that she does not object to the idea of a gender-neutral toilet, but added, there should be some for women only too.
Then you do object to the idea of a gender-neutral toilet.
Not for the men.
Yeah.
If the men want to have to deal with that, that's their problem. Men don't get their own spaces.
Why would a woman go into a gender-neutral toilet when she had the option of a woman's only toilet?
A trans woman might.
They're not going to. It will literally, that will just become the men's toilet.
Yeah, but I also love the typical, I don't know if she's a feminist herself, but the attitude of the men shouldn't have their own space. They should be mixed, but the women should.
Oh, this is just something women think.
Yeah. The ideal, she said, would be for the men's toilets to be gender neutral and for the women's to be kept women's only.
Yeah, the ideal for women. How about the other way? We have a men-only toilet and then a gender-neutral toilet.
No. The local town council decided to go with those loos were campaigned for and opened by none other than George Bernard Shaw himself. We were the first borough to have women's only loos. It would be pretty crazy if we were to close them and be the first one to do so. Well, they did, and it failed. Go to the next one. What do you think happened?
Someone got raped in there?
Not quite, no, but no? The women were constantly just being harassed by weirdos. So this is they say they're going to bring them back. New ideas, folks. What if we have a ladies' toilet where ladies can go and be ladies?
Yet another example of progressives reverse engineering Atlantis, isn't it?
I mean, it reminds me of when you did your segments talking about the progressives have found marriage.
Yeah.
And again, they have now discovered the invention of a female toilet.
Separate male and female spaces.
What an idea.
When you have to do intimate things like go to the toilet.
We've gone back to I'm now a uber feminist.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Camden Council leader Georgina said that it was unacceptable that a woman had reported a frightening experience in the gender-neutral loos. Also entirely predictable. She also received no response from the council at all when she complained about this. Too bad for her. Miss Lewis, 57, a lifelong Camden resident, has been using the loos with her 10-year-old son last autumn when a man in the cubicle next to her started shouting, "I'm coming for you." That's normal. and also completely predictable. Miss Lewis said, I thought, what the hell is going on? And my stepson ran up to the road. I felt very vulnerable. It was frightening. It was very upsetting and very unpleasant. I just didn't feel like it was a safe place. I ran up the stairs as soon as I could possibly do that. And my stepson said to me, I had to leave. Who was that? And he was really shaken. She said, I'm very open-minded.
Well, that's the problem.
I mean, here's the weirdness thing. Because this is someone who is so frightened by someone shouting, I'm coming for you, in the gender-neutral toilets, and obviously recognizes that these places are stupid, at the bare minimum, and yet still goes off in the public paper being like, I'm very open-minded, though.
Well, she doesn't want the social stigma of being a bigot.
Against what?
People being weird and pervy in her toilets.
It's part of inclusion and diversity to be weird and pervy.
Yes.
That is the,
And so she's like, well, look, I'm not like, someone who doesn't want to get assaulted in the toilets.
We should have a special bathroom where people can get assaulted if they choose.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I don't mind it being mixed gender. You obviously do. But that toilet in particular, because it's isolated, you have to go down these stairs. If someone confronts you in there's no way out. I know that can happen with women also, but it's a very different thing when you feel a threat from a man.
Agreed.
It's not open. It's not like you can just head out the door.
Agreed.
Yes.
No, that's true. There's a fundamental biological difference between men and women.
It's almost why they decided they would separate the men and the women in the 1800s.
It's why it's appropriate that we still do so.
But I just love that it's exactly this spot. Like, it is the place in which everyone realised maybe we should separate the men and the women, because this is turning into a crime-ridden hellhole. And then the progressives have come along and go, well, that was transphobic. The Victorians. Let's change that back. And it went exactly as expected. And if we move forward, if we go to the next one, I thought we'd also mention some other toilet stuff, shall we say. This one being a local councillor. Mayor to be quizzed on gender-neutral toilets by new Conservative councillor, because he's a Conservative. He wants gender-neutral toilets. Don't know why. We'll find out why. The feeling of humiliation is an experience that most of us don't go through when we visit the public toilet. And in 2018, this is simply unacceptable. It is the current year, said the Conservative, because he's been watching John Oliver. I understand clearly that there will be some concerns from the councillors and members of the public. About what? You want to name it? But the risk does not increase once the public toilets become gender neutral.
How could it not?
He is no evidence. No reason whatsoever. In fact, if anyone has the intention of committing a crime at present, they will do so already, says the Conservative, advocating for gender neutral toilets.
Well, that's an incredibly progressive position to suggest that literally intentions are unmodified by circumstances. That's wild.
It's not opportunity. That's not part of the criminal mindset. It's never something you take into account. You want to guess our dashing hero here, our Conservative man, why he might be arguing for gender neutral toilets?
Oh my God, I don't even want to say it, but I think I know what you're going to go with.
Yeah, Nonce.
Yeah,
the staff here. UK politician who campaigned for gender neutral town, found guilty of child sex abuse.
Leftist and nonce. What a shock.
Conservative, he swears.
Well, conservative leftist nonce.
I mean, this is how you know it's just the I'm a conservative folks are strange.
Can I just really plug our physiognomy podcast that me and Josh did? Because I'm telling you, man.
There's something to it.
There really is. Just look at him. Just look at him.
He's a conservative. Charged with 11 counts of engaging in sexual activity with a child. He was found unanimously guilty on all counts at a jury in Teesside Crown Court.
Now, let's keep that picture up, John, because I'm just in awe. Like, if I were to...
Do you want to right-click and open it in a new tab? Just to make it
if I were to ask an AI, right? Like, what is that that AI that draws things?
DALL-E.
Yeah, DALL-E, that's it. But, like, draw me a picture of a nonce. I think that's what it would draw.
I will say, like, if Little Britain ever do a sketch and they want the person to be suspect, I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, but there we go.
Nonce physiognomy. Asking
for gender-neutral toilets and saying that, don't worry, we criminals, sex criminals, will just do it anyway. We don't need you to be segregated or not. But it doesn't. Yeah. He's not worried. I think he was actually looking for opportunity.
Yes. Yes.
Moving forward then, because we'll go on to some other weird news in this regard, which is that the University of Plymouth has decided to, lecture their students that they should stop complaining about such things. How dare you be concerned with safety?
Oh, this is a Loudoun County thing, right?
I don't think anyone's been abused yet.
No, but I know you're worried about it, but just shut up for the sake of diversity.
Trust me, no one will be abused. I know every time we've tried this, the person suggesting it has been an abuser, or
the person suggesting it just happens to have a history of noncing,
or the person who, immediately after being opened, it has to be returned because it completely fails because it ends up with abuse. But don't worry, this time it'll work. Not real progressivism, I suppose. You scroll down on this, John. We can see the sign they put up at Plymouth University. You are welcome here. Do you think someone is using the wrong bathroom? How could you know? I'm sure there would be a way. Please don't...
Notice an Adam's apple on that woman peeing standing up.
Into the sink. Please don't challenge them.
Don't stare at them. Don't insult them. Instead, respect their privacy. Respect their identity. Carry on with your day.
Because the other funny thing, I imagine women don't do this, but in the men's, when you walk in, because we use urinals, when all the urinals are taken, what men will do is they'll leave the store door open and pee into the toilet.
Yeah.
And you walk past because it's just another urinal, right? I'm imagining that. I'm imagining a woman walking in and there's just, stood up, door open. Old habits die hard. And they say...
Notice what they're doing here. Don't think that you're socially entitled to be able to expect a reasonable degree of comfort from that person.
Don't ever dare ask a question about it either.
Shut up and just let them pee in the sink and, whatever it is else they're doing. Respect that. Respect that. It's like, why the hell should you?
I mean, we're joking, but even if someone did decide to do that, I mean, what would be the argument? Presumably from the progressives, don't stare, don't insult them.
Yeah.
That's
what right do you think you have to expect comfort in your bathroom?
It's like squat toilets, sinks, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, they say respect their privacy, respect their identity, carry on with your day. As if it's like, keep calm and carry on.
They are using the toilets they feel safe in. How do you know that? Oh, you're just a mind reader, are you?
They are. You're not.
Yeah, exactly. Why is their comfort more important than yours? Do not make them feel uncomfortable. Instead, protect them from harm. What if they are literally predators and they're shouting, "I'm coming for you"? From the next door. Like, what? Why should they feel comfortable?
Don't insult him. Don't stare at him. Don't challenge him. Let him come for you.
Yeah, exactly. Why should they feel comfortable and you shouldn't? I can see why the TERFs call this a men's rights activism movement.
Yeah, I mean, they do see it that way. And there was the TERF response in here from some lady who said, well, notice how they explicitly doesn't say that female students are welcome, repellent gaslighting, which it absolutely seems to be.
Well, specifically, they're not talking about female to male who go into the men's bathroom, are they? They're talking about male to female.
It's just, it doesn't, no one's concerned about that. It's always the other way around.
Well, yeah, because men don't care. If a woman walks into the men's bathroom, it's weird, but it's not like, oh no, my life's in danger.
But also, I don't feel like even if Elliot Page decided to try and harass you, you could probably just hold out an arm.
Yeah.
You'd be fine.
I mean, I suspect it's probably more dangerous for Elliot Page to go into the men's bathrooms anyway.
Yeah. So we'll move on from that because, of course, this is all left-wing ideology. And I did notice something from Darren Grimes which made me laugh, which is just, you can see here Rosie Duffield, quote from her, "We're basically complete idiots." Absolutely correct.
That's a local thing.
We're basically making complete idiots of ourselves, and there is no point pretending we're not. Rosie Duffield, Labour Party. It's just...
Well, I mean, it's not just you though, Rosie. Don't worry.
Yeah. Oh well, she's on the position of, well, this is dumb. We should accept women are women, but I mean, this is your worldview, and what's it come to? Well, exactly.
You're the progressive.
Well, we have something worse because, of course, it always gets worse. Let's go to the next one because we have transgender underwear for 4-year-olds. To flatten their penis.
Oh, God.
It's a sentence I'd never thought I'd say.
No, that is just awful.
No, this is terrible. So the underwear are available in 7 sizes. The smallest of those, with hip measurements between 58 centimetres and 61 centimetres, which would include children as young as 4. The largest, up to 97 centimetres, which would fit a teenager, has been designed by this lovely lady who... why did she do this? You might wonder, because it's not just any old underwear. It's underwear that flattens the genitals of the wearer, so they can feel more like a woman.
A 4-year-old will never need to feel like a woman. The hell's wrong with these people?
I don't know who on earth believes the 4-year-old came up with that idea as well.
They didn't.
I mean, if a parent ever did that to a child, I mean, you immediately know it's not the 4-year-old's idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it is definitely... Well, I think we can...
This is grooming. This is active grooming.
I love that the term grooming has become a normal place in this conversation.
Yeah. So what we have here is a groomer.
Well, she's presumably... I don't know if she's just looking to make a quick buck off this kind of nonsense.
Oh, no. If you're looking to make a quick buck, you wouldn't do this. This is born of an ideological drive so that 4-year-old boys can feel like women. And this is why the TERF definition of woman is entirely appropriate, because it's got adult in it.
Not 4-year-old.
Yeah.
But then again, I suppose they want to erase that distinction.
Should not be able to identify as men and women. End of story.
Under the dedicated kids section on the website, because of course, the company says Cameron Liu Kids is here for trans girls and non-binary children in their journey.
No such thing.
We are the first company, you heard, to listen to the children that need us.
There's
What?
no such thing.
No,
You're
it's
a
just
groomer.
obvious, weird. Like, no 4-year-old sent you an email.
Yep.
Like, what are you talking about?
Creepy groomers who want sexualized children.
Tory peer Baroness Nicholson said, I'm truly horrified.
Good.
The makers, sellers, and distributors of these items are breaking the Children's Act and are heavily abusing the NHS health criteria for children as well.
Yep.
So apparently this is also illegal, according to the Baroness.
Right.
Children have an absolute unbreakable right to health, and those wretched items are against that. I will report them. I will go to the wire to gain children their rights against this seemingly criminal behaviour.
I would like to see some sort of criminal punishment for these people.
And the reason for it is because it's not even, well, it's totally irreversible, remember? That's the battle cry for
Yes.
everything ever. Apparently, according to some doctors, this underwear is particularly not irreversible because it makes you infertile.
That is irreversible.
Why? I'm sorry, but like we're going to make our 4-year-old infertile because he wants to be a woman.
It's monstrous.
Right. Testicles need to be at a lower temperature, a couple of degrees lower than the body, said consultant pediatrician Dr. Shirban Ahmed. That's why they are in the scrotum, outside of the body. At a young age, if they continue to remain in a high position, the cells that produce sperm eventually die off.
Well, that's not this person's problem.
Oh, so it's the kid's problem. But then again, he was totally emailing this fashion company to make this, I'm sure.
There's a method of creating eunuchs.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So we go to the next one as well. Of course, gets weirder. You may remember this story a long time ago. I remember Brighton, very proud of their 40 children who do not identify with their sex at birth.
Yeah, I try not to think of Brighton, to be honest.
Yeah, no one does. Although this was a horrific story at the time. They're just like, yeah, just 40 kids at the school are trans and non-binary, trust me.
It's normal.
40 were trans, 36 were gender fluid.
Oh.
So it's even more
So
extreme.
76 of them have gender confusion of some sort.
That was in 2018. It's been 4 years. And because this totally isn't a social trend, it's instead totally natural. If we go to the next one, we can see how this has continued to explode. There should be another one in there, John, another Daily Mail article if you can load it up. But apparently nearly 1 in every 15 pupils at a leading secondary school now identify as trans or non-binary, with the majority declaring their gender change after the lockdown last summer, which is also just very convenient.
That's really
There you go.
weird.
That's reporting 2 days ago. A teacher said the pupils involved were between the ages of 11 and 18. Again, okay.
Staff were blundering in the dark without government guidance. Yeah, they're not.
No.
End of story.
Almost all of the girls in the school identified as non-binary.
Really?
A lot of tomboys.
That's amazing. Like this is again. Well, the TERFs are like, well, they're trying to abolish woman. Well, I mean, they're getting there. If none of the girls
Maybe they're not-
identify as, like are going to become women, then yeah, you actually are at that point.
I love that though, because there's a criticism which is just erasing the tomboys, but it's like they're not even happy with all the girls not existing and instead just being tomboys. No, they can't even be that. They
Yeah.
have to be.
Non-binary,
I love the meme of that in Spanish.
Yeah.
How do you say non-binary in Spanish?
non-binario or non-binary.
Exactly. Depends on the gender.
Yeah.
There's no third option. Funnily enough.
But they are actually right. It's like, because if, I don't know, like it's a third of the girls, then that's a third fewer women that will be produced by this school.
Thanos snap.
Yeah, it literally is. It's amazing.
According to a statement from one of the teachers, few want to take puberty blockers or undergo gender reassignment surgery, which the teacher believes demonstrates the phenomenon is more about perception rather than reality.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm inclined to believe. However, talking about something else, which is totally reversible, bro. Remember all this? Remember we could take puberty blockers?
Yeah.
It would be fine. Might as well just pop them for fun.
Yeah.
Won't do any damage. Well, here we go. Here's some evidence from NHS England who say this is not only all bunk, but obviously the use of it is also bunk. The assessment of the evidence into drugs was commissioned by NHS England. The evidence using puberty-blocking drugs to treat young people struggling with their gender identity is, quote, very low, according to the official review.
Shock and surprise.
The National Institute of Health and Care Excellence said the existing studies on the drugs were small and subject to bias and confounding.
Wow, I can't believe that these studies done by activist scientists have come out with utterly biased and misleading results.
There we have it. I mean, this is one of the few institutions in the UK that we can at least rely upon to give us the facts as well in regards to just, does this work? I will give it that in the medicine realm. And there you have it. There's the cold hard science of, yeah, you remember all of that? Remember all of that conversation we've had for years about Tavistock, giving puberty blocks to kids?
Yep.
It was all based on nothing. It was all based on just pure speculation and bias from the activist scientists, as you say. And if we move forward, there is actually some good news on this.
You know what we can call activist scientists? There's actually a name for an activist scientist. It's an alchemist. someone who has a goal in mind.
They're going to make gold.
Yes, they're going to turn lead into gold.
They certainly tried.
Yeah.
Well, ended up with a lot of lumps of. No, I can't make that joke.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
But if we have this one here, we have some good news. So we have Savage Javed saying here that he's actually reviewing the gender treatment for children in its entirety.
Okay, but that should be done by later that afternoon.
I also love how he's
And
just
outlaw it.
been to lunch for the last couple of years by the looks of it.
Yeah.
He is now thought to be planning an overhaul of the Gender Identity Development
Okay.
Service,
TikTok.
which is run by Tavistock,
Okay.
with clinics in Leeds. I love how he just goes on to say, like, oh, he thinks there's something going wrong here. As you see, this week, Mr. Javed told the press that the services in the area were too affirmative and narrow and bordering on ideological.
Bordering. Oh, they're just bordering on the ideological, are they, Sajid? Right, okay, well, at least you're baby steps. Baby steps. They're only,
He thinks something might be going on.
they're only
He's not
turning,
sure.
They're only turning children into eunuchs, Sajid. Don't hurry. Take your time. You know, you've got the evidence where your own clinics are like, well, look, there's basically no evidence for any of this and it appears to be totally nonsense. But take your time, Sajid.
But I just love how NHS England are telling you it's all biased
Yeah.
and confounding, and he's like, I think there's something going on. I'm not
Yeah. The adventures of the man who just started paying attention.
Go to the next one. We have Nadine Dorries as well coming out and saying that women are women, not
Yeah.
allowed to compete in
Yeah.
sport. So that's all good. If we move forward on this, we can see another story here, which I found interesting, which is Doctor Who. I thought I'd talk about because I just have a personal pet hatred of what they've done.
Yeah.
And,
did you like Doctor Who? Did you?
I did. growing
My
up.
wife used to love Doctor Who.
It used to get 90s and 80% reviews on everything.
As soon as they made a female doctor, she was like, I'm never watching this again.
Dr. Karen. And this is the newest iteration of them just rubbing it in your face. And I know you enjoy this.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're on the very much accelerationist
Oh,
path
yeah.
of like,
Oh,
just
yeah.
rub it in the public's face.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Make
And
it as bad as it can be.
So I thought you'd enjoy this one, which is we have a statement of a new spin-off that they're creating, an audio podcast, which I had the unfortunate chance to listen to earlier. And the author says, it was important to me to see the lead character being trans. Transgender writer reveals Doctor Who Spinoff Podcast has a cast completely led by queer women and will explore LGBTQ stories. I mean, could you get any more just insultingly on the nose?
No.
We're not even going to try. Juno Dawson, 40, who lives in Brighton, I'm shook, explained that Doctor Who, Redacted, which begun on BBC Sounds on the 17th of April, is the first time that the fictional universe has had a cast that is completely led by queer women.
It's probably going to be the last time, too.
No, they'll keep funding that until the
don't
license
think
fee
they
gets
will.
pulled. I think it's completely ideological,
But I mean,
obviously.
what other cultural institutions can they bastardize? James Bond. I want a black, queer, disabled, lesbian, non-binary immigrant James Bond.
Me
That's
too.
what I want.
I want to see it. She said it's important to me that every person who comes for Doctor Who
And with Down syndrome.
brings their own little identity, said the writer. No, that's not how media works. So, like, she's literally just saying, I'm putting myself in the story. It's fan fiction, then, is
Yeah.
what that is.
Yeah.
And of course, as a transgender woman myself, it's very important to me to see the lead character being trans as well, because I can't not insert myself into the work directly.
They've completely destroyed the illusion of a micro universe that has been created from this art. Go watch my politics of, or listen to my politics 40k deep think to find out what that means.
I listened to an hour of this thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It starts off with Dr. Karen even. So the woman doctor saying that she's being erased and all of her friends are being erased. And it's just like, oh, that's very interesting.
That's also very true.
Yeah, and it then goes on to waste an hour of your life, so don't bother. But it is painfully queer. Like, the characters have the most stereotypical voices and keep saying things like, yes.
Oh, God.
It's horrible.
The Californication of it.
Yeah, and if we continue, I just also wanted to talk about just Doctor Who for a minute because also just the friggin' state of it. Like, I love this. I love Nerd Erotic. Just dance
he's
all the
great,
time. And just look at this. Season 11. I just consistently, the critics are like 90%. Fantastic.
It's very progressive.
20% review there for the audience who had to listen with that. And season 12 was also very consistent. I'm sorry, but like 16%. Used to get 90% consistently good reviews, and this is what they've done to it. They've done to an industry here. And apparently they're going to go even further. Presumably the next Doctor will be a transgender immigrant of colour. I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the invention of the toilet. There's another progressive invention. They've invented the family and whatnot before, but now they've gone real far. And also the continued, insanity we have. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the Contemplation series Josh does, this one on the cultural impact the United States has on Britain. Now, if you want to follow what else Josh is putting out, you can follow him on Getter at @Josh_firm on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.